All right, welcome back. Today, we're getting right down to the absolute basics, the foundation of the entire game. I mean, think about it. Before you can command an army, before you can shout, "Checkmate," you've got to know the battlefield, right? So today, we're going to break down Session 2 of the ChessMates Beginner's Crash Course, and it's all about understanding the chessboard itself.
You know, that's such a great way to put it. The chessboard. It's not just some pretty pattern in the background. It is the stage. It's where every single brilliant move, every heartbreaking blunder, and every glorious victory happens. So let's get you ready to command it.
All right, Section 1, decoding the 8x8 grid. Let's really dive in here. At first glance, the board looks, well, simple, right? It's just a pattern of squares. But trust me, this grid is so precise, and getting a feel for its structure, that's your first real step toward thinking like a real chess player. So, let's start with the most important number in all of chess. 64. That's it. The entire war, from the very first pawn push to the final checkmate, it all happens on these 64 squares. Every single plan, every strategy you'll ever cook up is going to be about controlling these little plots of land. And where does 64 come from? Well, it's just a perfect 8x8 grid. 8 squares going across, 8 squares going down. Simple as that. This structure never ever changes, and it's the foundation for literally everything else we're going to talk about.
Okay, so of those 64 squares, exactly half of them, 32, are light-colored.
And you guessed it, the other 32 are dark. Now, this perfect balance, this checkerboard pattern, it's not just to look pretty. It's actually super important for helping you see diagonals, spot patterns, and visualize how your pieces are going to move and control the board.
Okay, so now that we know the basic layout, we need to learn how to talk about it. To navigate this battlefield, you got to speak the language. And there are two words, two super important words, that you absolutely have to get down. They describe the two main directions on the board.
And here they are. It's pretty simple when you see it side by side. The horizontal rows, the ones going left to right, those are called ranks. A good way to remember it is like ranks of soldiers lined up for inspection. And the vertical columns, the ones going up and down, those are files. You know, like soldiers filing into a room one after another. So you've got 8 ranks and 8 files. That's the whole map, right there.
Now this is where it gets really cool. What happens when you put those ranks and files together? You get something incredibly powerful. You get a system, kind of like a map grid, that gives every single square on the board its own unique name, its own address.
And the system is so logical. It's a simple 3-step process. First, you start with the file. That's the letter, from A all the way to H. Next, you add the rank, which is the number from 1 to 8. Put them together and bam, you've got the square's name. The one thing you got to remember is, it's always letter first, then the number. Always.
So let's make this real. Let's say you're looking at the square that's in the C file and on the 4th rank. What do you get? You just combine them. C, 4. The square's name is C4. Simple, right? And this works for every single one of the 64 squares, no exceptions. So you might be thinking, okay, why does this even matter? Well, it matters a lot because this is the universal language of chess. It means you can read a chess book from 100 years ago, you can play a game with someone on the other side of the planet, and when you hear a move like knight to f3, every single person who knows chess knows exactly what just happened. There's no confusion. It's brilliant. All right, we're moving on to probably the most important rule of setting up the board. This is the one thing you have to get right before a single piece is even placed. It's a super simple little phrase to remember, but it is absolutely non-negotiable if you want to play a real game of chess.
Okay, you ready? The phrase you need to burn into your brain is this: white on the right. Say it with me. White on the right. All it means is that when you sit down at the board, the corner square on your right-hand side, it has to be a light-colored square. That's it. So simple, but so important.
And if you get this wrong, oh man, it throws everything off. Your queen and king will be on the wrong squares. The bishops won't be on the right colors. The whole geometry of the game just gets completely messed up. Seriously, making white on the right an automatic habit, that's the first sign that you're taking the game seriously.
Okay, that was a lot of info. So how about a quick pop quiz? Just a couple of questions to see if it's all sinking in. I'll ask, you take a second to think, and then we'll see how you did. You ready?
First question, nice and easy. How many squares are there on the chessboard in total? The whole battlefield, how many squares? Go on, have a think.
And the answer is 64. Of course, the classic 8x8 grid. Awesome. If you got that, you're on the right track. Okay, let's try one that's a little bit trickier. Okay, for this one, I want you to picture the board in your head. From your perspective as the white player. Remember the coordinate system. Letter first, then number. So, what is the name of that very first square in the bottom left corner?
And the answer is A1, right? It's in the A file, and it's on the first rank. Hey, if you got that one right, you have totally nailed the coordinate system. Fantastic job.
Okay, knowledge is one thing, but building a habit is another. So the ChessMates course has this great, super simple exercise you can do to really lock all this stuff in.
So here's your first real chess habit. If you've got a physical board, go grab it. If not, just picture it. First thing, set it up and immediately check your corner, white on the right. Just make that automatic, like buckling your seatbelt. Then, just for fun, try to find a few squares. Find A1, find one of the center squares like D4, and find the opposite corner, H8. Just doing this a few times will build your board vision like you wouldn't believe.
So, let's do a super quick recap of the essentials. What did we learn today? 1. The board is an 8x8 grid, 64 squares total. 2. The rows are ranks, the columns are files. 3. Every square has a name, like E4. And 4. The golden rule, white on the right. You nail these 4 things down and you have built an absolutely solid foundation for the rest of your chess journey.
So there you have it. You now understand the stage. You know its size, you know its language, and you know how to set it up correctly. The battlefield is ready. But, a battlefield's kinda quiet without an army. So the real question is, are you ready to meet the soldiers?